All right, my friends, it's a marvelous day to do some teaching. And I am so happy to be here. And I'm so glad you're here listening to this. And I want to teach you some things today and ask you some questions today. When we're talking about all these problems that we're going to have to deal with, and the reason why we need to get the anointing right now, and the reason why we need to get all this joy that I've been teaching is because we've got problems across the world. Got problems on the border and problems with racism in the country. We have problems with the Mideast and with our government and people that do not understand racism and they do not have the desire to overcome racism. And it's just a total problem to try to get people to raise their consciousness to even understand or even be willing, even have the willingness to even deal with these things. And that is a great problem. So where do we go from here? Well, I want to start out by giving you this wonderful example that there was a Catholic priest called Bishop Fulton J. Sheen. It was a long time ago. I read that book, and you can see it's still available. But he taught. He had a book called Three to Get Married, and this just for an example. He drew like a middle picture of a triangle like this with a base like this. And at the top of that triangle, he put the word God, and then down here he put the over here he put the husband, and over here he put the wife. And he said throughout life, right here is where they get married, and then as they move on up, they're getting closer and closer and closer up here to the top. But the whole point of the message is that both husband and wife are moving toward the same goal. And that goal is to raise consciousness to realize how great and how precious God and his love is. And so we got to approach racism pretty well that same way, is that it doesn't matter what race, creed, or religion you are. Every human being has exactly the same soul and exactly the same mind. The mind of God goes through everybody, and we're all part of one another, and we're all should be heading in the same direction. So that's how we have to get back to the place where we're all headed in the same direction and not separated out by our unwillingness to face our problems concerning racism. We have to view every other human being as equal. Every other human being is just as valuable to God as we are, or our race is, or that another race that we like better than this particular race over here. All of the races of people are headed to the same place. Consciousness is being raised. That's how we get into the new age. If we want to get into the new age, you're not going to get into the new age. It's going to block you from moving into the new age and gaining all the prosperity and all the benefits of that and of all the great consciousness and everything it's going to do for your healing power and everything else. If you hold yourself back with such things as white supremacy or another race supremacy, we cannot keep believing that one race is superior over another. If we're going to move into that new age, we have to get past that. And this was always true. All of this was always true. And how we ever got into not thinking it was true, that's something I'm going to approach next in another lesson, how we got there. But the point is not where we came from, right? For the point of this lesson, it's not where we came from, but it's where we're going, where we're headed into the new age. And as we head into the new age, the races are not going to matter. It's not going to matter what race you're in. You're all headed for the same place, into a new age where love and cooperation go on across the world. And so as we begin to raise our consciousness to see that that's coming, then we're going to begin to prepare ourselves to leave behind, whether it's white supremacy or Latino, for instance, supremacy, or whatever race we're talking about, Russian supremacy, Chinese supremacy. There's not any supremacy. And we got the idea of that supremacy came from something a long time ago that we have just not rid ourselves as we grown and as we move toward that new age. we've somehow or another held on to the things from another age. And this is exactly what we've got to deal with right now. But we've got to gain the willingness to deal with it. And so that's what I'm going to be teaching in the next few lessons, is how to gain the willingness to deal with the various forms of supremacy and the various hate groups and so forth and so on. So let me skedaddle here right now so it don't get too long.